Hello, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, Back to the Future Part 2 from 1989. It's the second film in Back to the Future The Ultimate Collection, is directed by Robert Zemeckis, and stars Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. I learned something new this time watching Back to the Future Part 2, that it has a hobbit in it. Pay close attention to the shorter kid at the arcade cabinet in the early scene at Cafe 80s during the future sequence, and you might recognize him as Frodo Baggins himself, a very young Elijah Wood. To be fair, I didn't recognize him either. I had to read him in the credits to find out he was in the film at all, and I went back to double check. That is totally him. I'm gonna be that guy and actually Back to the Future Part 2 real quick. Doc Brown sets down the time travel rules that when you change something in the past, you create an alternate future path, and so technically you can't get back to the future you came from unless you change the past event to normal again. So when old Biff goes back in time to give young Biff the sports almanac, he shouldn't have been able to bring the time machine back to Doc and Marty in 2015 because he would have landed in alternate 2015. Not the same one he left. It might have been a little detail, but it would have kept the whole last 2/3 of the film from happening. Okay, I'll stop talking time travel before I go nutters. I do very much appreciate how this film exists as a layer on top of the actions from the first film, as we see a lot of the first film from different angles in the last half of this sequel, which is very cool. They don't get everything right, unfortunately, though, as the performance of Johnny B. Goode is slightly different at the end of it, and the moment George kisses Lorraine during the performance of Earth Angel isn't the same either. But I'm nitpicking, really. It used to be difficult for me to decide which I liked more, Back to the Future or Back to the Future Part 2, but watching it this time I was able to quantify it. I like the sequel more because it covers 3 time periods instead of just the 2 time periods that the first one does. And there's more finesse to the sequel with the layering over the old 1955 scenes with the new 1955 scenes. But I guess it's rather pointless to ask which I like better because they both pale in comparison to Back to the Future Part 3, which I'll be watching next. But it's now easy to say that Back to the Future Part 2 is my second favorite film in the trilogy, which is why I'm going to give it an A. Join me tomorrow when I round out the Back to the Future trilogy with Back to the Future Part 3. See y'all then.